we were just quite enthusiastic about that Harley are really pushing into this new space, you know, and it's, I think, probably true to say that we were surprised by it. You know, you think of Harley as being big thumping V-twin motorcycles, and the fact that they were sort of leading the fray into this, I thought that was quite exciting. We wanted to be part of that.
Welcome to the Harley-Davidson podcast, Long Way Up Edition, a 6-part series where we dive into the epic 13,000-mile trip taken by Ewan McGregor and Charley Boorman that took them from Ushuaia, South America, up to Los Angeles, and all on electric Harley-Davidson live wires. In this episode, we'll be diving into where it all started, the history of the Long Way series, why they chose this route, and why electric. We'll also talk with key members of the Harley-Davidson team to learn about how they undertook the mammoth engineering task of turning a yet unreleased prototype electric motorcycle into an adventure machine that could take Charley and Ewan the long way up. Now, let's hear from Ewan McGregor and Charley Boorman.
The Long Way idea started because Ewan and I met each other a very long time ago. I mean, 25 years ago now almost. And we met on a film set together.
We had really a fun time shooting in this little town called 6 Mile Bridge in County Clare in Ireland. And Charley's father lives in Ireland. And so he sort of grew up there.
We're both actors and we both had just had our first children, Clara and Dune. So
we both had very small babies and we're both madly into motorbikes. And so the sort of combination of those two things made us very fast friends.
And I think our first conversation was about motorcycles. We had a lot in common and we had a great time. And then we spoke about doing a longer journey.
In 2004 and 2007, I did 2 motorcycle trips with my best friend Charley Boorman. We called them Long Way Round and Long Way Down. We rode across Europe, Russia, Mongolia and North America in Long Way Round. It's either get across it or this trip ends. We don't have to solve problems like this in everyday life. And then down through Europe and Africa in Long Way Down. I always felt in my heart of hearts that there would be 3 long ways, but life got in the way. I went back to work and moved to the States, and Charley and I just sort of lost touch. And then something happened that reminded me what was really important. I got a text saying that he'd had a horrendous motorcycle accident. Broken his legs and his pelvis and broken his left wrist. And I think because of this, we just sort of found each other again. And now we've decided to do another epic trip, riding 13,000 miles from Ushuaia in Tierra del Fuego in the southern tip of Argentina, crossing South America, Central America, Mexico, and all the way to Los Angeles in California. And we've got just 3 months to do it.
There's a lot to do. There's this glaring gap in our travels, you know, and that is the Americas. So we always thought that would be the obvious next trip, you know.
Ewan has always been fascinated by South America. And, you know, on all our travels that we've done, neither of us had really spent any time riding in South America, really. We'd kind of ridden on all the other continents around the world. And, you know, this was one of the ones that really speaks to you. You know, it's as a motorcyclist, it's one of the great rides. You know, you go from the bottom of Argentina, Ushuaia, all the way through the Andes, through Central America, and then back up to North America, and it was sort of just seemed to be calling us.
And of course, because we'd done Long Way Round and then Long Way Down, we knew we had to do Long Way Up because we couldn't do Long Way Down again. It couldn't be Long Way Down somewhere else, which would have been the obvious thing to do. Would have been to prep this trip in LA and then ride from LA to Ushuaia. But no, we had to prep it in LA and London and then ship everything to Ushuaia to ride up just so that we could call it Long Way Up.
Ewan was staying with us over here, and we had a little barbecue, and Russ and Dave came over, and we all 4 of us sat around a table, and we were sort of talking about we wanted to do another one, and we wanted to mix it up a little bit.
I don't know. It seems like that most people who do the stuff that we do are really well organized, and everybody knows exactly what they're doing next year, you know, and they all plan everything That's not who we are. My name is David Alexanian. I am one of the directors and producers of Long Way Up. When we all got together, when we're sitting there having dinner, and he's an amazing cook. Charlie's like, you think he's good on a bike. He's better on a grill, you know? So he's making this amazing dinner, and the four of us are like, so where haven't we been? You know, should we do this thing again?
I think the two previous series had caught people's imaginations, and it was nice to do the third one. Well, I'm Russ Malkin, producer, director, but also, you know, instigator. I'm one of a four-man team, Ewan, Charley, David and myself, which I'm very proud of being one of our four-man band of brothers. Why now? Ewan just had a window in his diary. He's always very busy, old Ewan. He's a great guy. And he said, look, I've got from September. And suddenly that gave us a time frame on which to go. And because we called it Long Way Up, that also gave us the start point. We had to start at the bottom.
I think it was probably Russ threw a spanner in the works and suggested that we went on electric motorbikes.
And it was sort of like, well, you know we can do this petrol. We've done it twice already. What do you think about going electric? And I based that actually only on seeing a lot of content in motorcycle news of all these electric bikes. So we sort of not committed to it, but opened up the door of that route, and not knowing actually that no one was making them.
Well, at first when it was raised, the electric bike idea, we were all very skeptical about it. But we sort of found ourselves going down this route. We thought, well, we can't not explore it. You know, it became something to really think about. I think electric's for sure the future. We're right on the cusp. You know, electric cars are way down the line. Electric motorcycles we're just on the edge of it. And it's really the future, and it's quite exciting.
You know, Russ loves the fact that something has never been done before, or very, very rarely been done, or not many people have done it. And so there was all these kind of sort of challenges that could make a really sort of interesting story.
All of us come from a background of biking. I've been riding bikes since I was 14. Obviously, I love going to the Isle of Man TT. And of course, you've got the electric bikes, they do one lap. And I rode one of those once. There was no like, vroom, vroom, vroom. It was like, phoom. It was like, oh, hello. This has got something unique.
And then once we started speaking with Apple, everybody felt very much that it was an exciting new element to the trip.
And it wasn't really until sort of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know, we weren't even sure we were doing this thing. And I got that letter in the mail. It was like, please come to Cupertino. We're like, what? Okay, I guess we're doing it.
When we started looking around for electric bikes, we were looking at everybody. And, you know, obviously, you know, we know who Harley is. I want to be honest about this. I don't think we thought that Harley would be making an electric motorcycle. You know, your background of great big, amazing sort of V-twins. And by the way, that American experience of going down a highway on a Harley is something I've done many times, chasing trains. I love that. But as a brand, you know, I think we were surprised when we heard that you had this amazing electric motorcycle. I don't want to be negative. I don't think that's a negative. It was just a surprise. And that you'd actually been developing it for years. You know, that you were that far ahead of everybody else.
With the live wire, that's exciting enough. But also there's, you know, we saw all these other conceptual drawings that Harley are doing of smaller motorcycles. We were just quite enthusiastic about that Harley are really pushing into this new space, you know. The fact that they were sort of leading the fray into this, I thought that was quite exciting. We wanted to be part of that.
But what we weren't surprised about was the generosity of feeling when we engaged with the company. You know, everybody's a biker at Harley. Everybody's got biking in their blood.
When you hear Charlie and Ewan are calling and there's an opportunity to go on an expedition, you think this is perfect timing. You know, we're moving into that space.
John Beckafee, GM of brand at Harley-Davidson.
2018, we were gearing up for the 2019 launch. You know, we were preparing because it had been a long time coming with respect to Project Livewire. 19, we were moving into launch. At the time, Livewire was a prototype, and so that winter we had a plan to attend Geneva International Auto Show, Geneva, Switzerland, to premiere Livewire. It was right around that time that the conversations with the Long Way Up team, the entire production team, really started to gel.
The first time I rode the Harley was in Switzerland, in a car park. I think when people see the Livewire, people are always blown away by how kind of cool it looks. How it kind of looks futuristic, but at the same time, it looks like a real motorcycle and something that you can sort of fall in love with. And then when we rode it, or certainly when I rode it, I was astonished about the acceleration and the power. You know, so going around this little cup, and we stopped, and then we started talking about what could be done with it, and you know, would you guys be able to make it a little bit more adventure looking for us?
From their perspective, they were always set on electric. I mean, you might be able to say that given enough failures or not being able to provide them or have them source appropriate motorcycles that could do what they needed, they would have pivoted, but they came to us with the ambition and the very singular point of view that this would be an electric motorcycle expedition.
I remember the first type of discussions, and one of our marketing executives gives me a call saying, "Jim, do you think you in engineering could work with us? We may have an opportunity." I'm Jim Federico, VP of Engineering at Harley-Davidson. I said, "Of course, absolutely, that'd be exciting as hell. Let's go for it." And I already had the hint. They were considering one of a couple bikes, and one of them being Livewire. And not knowing the timing, because we weren't in production yet with Livewire, still in the development phase. But we showed a couple bikes and started having dialogue. We showed the Livewire, and then we also showed our Pan America, again, obviously not in production yet. Next thing you know, there's a meeting set up, and Brad had been working with his team on what we would do to a Livewire from a look perspective if it would be considered.
One of the greatest things about working in the design studio, like I do with my team, who I'm just like crazy proud of, is that, you know, they're all extremely passionate motorcyclists, and they are deeply etched into the culture of motorcycling, and especially motorcycling looking through the lens of Harley-Davidson. My name's Brad Richards, and I'm the Vice President of Styling and Design at Harley-Davidson. When we heard the news via marketing and some other folks at the company that there was an opportunity with this story and with Charlie and Ewan and his team, you know, there was initially a visit set up to the product development center and to kind of walk through the design studio and kind of meet some of the folks that developed the Livewire product and could talk, you know, in detail and with some expertise about whether or not something like this could be pulled off.
I think Brad came to me and he said, "You've got like less than a day to do a sketch of an adventure Livewire for this series." My name is Ben McGinley, and I'm an industrial design manager at Harley-Davidson Styling and Design. And since I'd worked on Livewire, it was kind of really exciting for me personally to be able to kind of take that design and adjust it. It's an exciting thing to be a part of the series, especially having watched Long Way Around and kind of really enjoyed that. It was pretty cool to have the opportunity to work on something for the Long Way Up. And so I drew it up, spent a couple hours on it, and we had a meeting with the engineering team to talk about how you might put it together from there.
And, you know, within 4 hours, I had a sketch on my desk of what the bike ultimately looked like. I mean, that's how quickly that we designed it. Once we had the sketch, the rest of the team loved what it looked like. Ewan and Charlie dug it.
So we started having dialogue, and David and Charlie started sharing with me the requirements, because as the lead engineer, I'm thinking, okay, what kind of range, what kind of road surfaces, lofty goals of range on a daily basis, and what they'll be going through, the temperature differences, and I'm one of these very positivity kind of engineers. And I said, technically, we can do anything. So how much time, I have, I need to get the bike in production, then we'll take some production bikes and do some modifications and then show you all. You can take them for a ride and we'll show you the requirements we've met. The next thing you know, he says, I know, in a few months. And I'm thinking, I won't even be in production yet. What do you mean in a few months? So that was excitement number one. And they were head over heels with the bike, head over heels with the idea of an EV, and that challenge number one, being the first to do it number two, the sustainability of it number three, and what Charlie and Ewan stand for, and love two wheels. So it was, let me put it this way, it got rolling really fast. And of course, I'm smiling and saying, okay, I got a lot of work to do quickly. How many bikes, when, what are you thinking? And anyways, I said, I don't know if we can accomplish this in such a short period of time, but let me get back with you. Give me a couple days. So that was day one. And my next step then was going to my team and watching their jaws drop when I told them what we've just been asked to do.
You're like, okay, we're going to turn a live wire into an adventure touring bike. What do we have to do to get this done?
On the next episode of the Harley-Davidson podcast, Long Way Up Edition.
We had a deadline, so we had to move. So it was a bit of a, round the clock, full court press to get the bikes ready.
I said, okay, here's the deal. and their jaws did drop.
My anxiety went through the roof at about that point.
It ends up sort of becoming a mashup of Pan America and Livewire.
We did not have time to do all of our typical testing.
Ewan and Charlie both looked at it with, oh my God, they modified this bike. We knew at that point that this was real.
It looked like this really cool adventure bike.
We just couldn't believe it. I remember by the time we got to the top of the hill, we decided this is the bike for us, We just got off. We'd ridden it for about 10 minutes. We got off and went, oh, this is it. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Catch new episodes of Long Way Up exclusively on Apple TV+.